Get ready. You're listening to Give God 90 live.
5, 4, 3, 2,
All that's going to give you
1, 0.
the message.
Hey, nobody can see me today. This is cool.
Welcome everyone to Give God 90 live on a Thursday night. My name is Jerry Mitchell, my wife Myra,
Hi.
and your host for Give God 90 tonight, and we are so glad to have y'all with us. It is such a pleasure and an honor to have you join us. We're getting more people all the time, and
Sure are.
that's a great thing. If you want to help folks see us, if you want to help spread the word, there's share buttons, there's like buttons. We're on Spreaker, and the chat is going to be open on Spreaker. I'm kind of going to give it a minute to get people a chance to log on and do their thing. We're on Spreaker. We're on Facebook. It will be on Tumblr. It will be... Are we anywhere else?
YouTube?
It'll be on YouTube. Yes, it'll be on my channel on YouTube. So as all that stuff goes out for people in their different ways that they choose to get it, it's available. Just go get it. You can see this stuff. You can, there's just all kinds of neat stuff. There's the app for you, Spreaker, that you can get. The Give God 90 app. Yeah, there's an app for that. Okay, there's an app for that.
Mm-hmm.
But what that does is if you want to download an episode so that you can listen to it later, maybe, you download it and you plug it into your car, you're driving along. Just don't wreck when you do that, okay? If I say something you really like, great. If I say something you really disagree with, just stay calm. It's okay. Just relax. Because tonight I'm going to say things that people might not appreciate. I'm going to... Here's the warning, okay? Here's the disclaimer. I'm going to pick on the King James only people, and I'm going to pick on the Textus Receptus people. If you don't know what that is, you might will find out here shortly. I'm going to pick on... I don't know who all I'm going to pick on today, but I'm going to be picking on a lot of people. So as I pick on these people, don't think I'm really picking on you. I want you to be aware of what you're seeing and what you're reading and what you're looking at. That's the whole idea, because if you see and understand what you're looking at, then you have a better idea how to, take what you're reading and what you're seeing and apply that to your life, right?
Right.
Okay, so as far as I know, everything's good. Our sound levels are okay everywhere, I guess. Microphones are on. Everything's cool. We should be good to go. All right. The title of this is What Do Angels Look Like? But that's kind of misleading title. Just a little bit. Because it's really going to be, what do we think angels look like? And what really are they? Kinda. If you really want to go into a little bit more depth of this, I did a teaching from Messianic Delaware a few weeks ago, around the beginning of July, right? End of June, beginning of July, and the title of that was... we just looked it up. The title of that was...
Oh, that's horrible.
We'll look it up. We'll think about it. Give me a minute. That's terrible. We just looked this up.
Not just. It was about an hour
It was
ago.
an hour or so ago, and it's been a hectic afternoon. The kids, the grandchildren had dentist appointments that we went to. It's about an hour away, and on the way back we were looking it up because I thought it was something and it's something else, and I will remember. Trust me. Has something to do with everybody knows that.
Everybody knows
Everybody
that.
knows that.
That's it.
Everybody knows that. If you go to messianicdelaware.org, look on the teaching page. Everybody knows that. You'll get to see all kinds of things there. And it is a narrated slideshow presentation. So it's there. It's available. The what I want to look at today actually comes from a question that didn't come from that, but came a few months before that. And it dealt with, do angels fly? Hi, Tina. Glad to have you with us.
Hi, Tina.
But it says, do angels fly? And the person who asked the question made a statement and asked the question at the same time. Said, is this right? Can this be true? Am I reading this the way I need to be reading this? And the answer might surprise you, but how we get to the answer might surprise you too. So we're going to start. Okay, I have marked, and it is going to be in Revelation chapter 8. Now, don't get nervous for all my Jewish listeners out there. And verse 13. Now, this is the King James Version. Go ahead and read verse 13 for me.
And I beheld and heard an angel flying through the midst of the heaven, saying with a loud voice, Woe, 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 to the inhabitants of the earth by reason of the other voices of the trumpet of the three angels, which are yet to sound.
Okay. So according to King James, angels fly, right?
Right.
Okay. According to King James Version, angels fly. This is the Tree of Life version. Go ahead and read Revelation 8, verse 13, and I think you'll see the difference.
Then I looked, and I heard an eagle crying out with a loud voice as it flew through the sky, saying...
Okay, stop right there. King James said angel.
Right.
Okay? Tree of Life says eagle.
Right. Not flying, crying. Yeah, as he flew through the sky.
As he flew through the sky.
Mm-hmm.
So they're both flying.
Mm-hmm.
But the angel's saying, whoa, whoa, whoa. What's the eagle saying?
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Okay, there you have the three woes, as it's commonly called in church vernacular. But King James says angel. Tree of Life says eagle. Which is it?
Well, that's what you're here to tell us.
Okay. Now, for the folks on Facebook Live, they're going to see that I'm digging through books here. I'm stacking books up. Okay, you can put those down for a minute. What I have here next to read from, and Myra's going to read this because I don't have my glasses on, is the Nestle Allen Critical Greek Text. And what this is, these are German scholars, and these gentlemen went back and dug through old manuscripts, as many as they could find, and they compared manuscripts. And they take what they find in these manuscripts, and what they do is put it together and say, what makes sense based on what the majority of the manuscripts read. They document the difference in the manuscripts, and then what they also do is say, okay, what made sense in the culture of the time? So, chapter 8, verse 13, I think both of those are the same, because they actually put two different variations of the English text in with that.
Read this one.
Sure.
Then I looked, and I heard an eagle crying with a loud voice as it flew in mid-heaven.
Now here again is an eagle flying. Interesting, isn't it? That it's an eagle. That one says eagle too, doesn't it?
Yes.
Okay. So both of the Nestle Allen texts say eagle, not angel. Okay, you can put that down because I have one more. And this one comes from the Interlinear Bible. It is actually the Greek, Hebrew, I'm sorry, the Hebrew and then the Greek. And if you can look that up again, because I don't have my glasses on, you need to go to Revelation 8, verse 13. But we're going to see something really interesting here, because an interlinear Bible, what it basically does is it gives you the original text as they understand it. It then gives you the Strong's Concordance numbers, and it also gives you a lot of other information. It has the original language. It has the transliterated, how to pronounce that original language. Verse 13 over here on the left-hand side, I think is where you're going to want to be. Or you can read it under that too if you want.
And I saw and I heard one angel flying in mid-heaven, saying with a great voice, "Woe, woe, woe."
Okay. Here's an interlinear Bible that says angel. And if you look, even according to the Strong's number, I think it's number 32, the Greek word there used is actually angel. But there's a problem. Because the interlinear Bible is based on the Strong's Concordance. The Strong's Concordance is based on the King James Bible. If there's a mistake in the King James translation, there's going to be a mistake in the Strong's, and there's going to be a mistake in this interlinear. Because it's referenced from the Strong's, not from the original language. When you go back to the original manuscripts, and there are original manuscripts available online and available in other books, what we're going to see is not the word angel, but the Greek word for eagle. You go back to the original and what I need to get across here is not that I am being critical of King James, but I am also telling you to be wary of which translations you're reading and what they're doing. Because it doesn't it doesn't matter who translates it. I've said this before, everybody has an agenda, right? Everybody has an agenda. It doesn't matter if it's the King James translators. It doesn't matter if it's the Tree of Life translators. It doesn't matter if it's, pick your poison out there. There's over 100 different translations. Some of them are paraphrases. Some of them are other things. But everybody has everybody has an agenda. Some people want to say, I want to win as many hearts and souls for Jesus as I can, and they'll translate it, geared towards that. Other people say, I want as many people going to heaven as I can get going to heaven, and that's their agenda. Are they good agendas? Yeah, they're good agendas. Are they, hey, Sean.
Hi, Sean.
They're wonderful agendas if that's what they want. Some people you have to be aware of because their agenda is, hey, buy my Bible. Sorry, but that's the way it is. There's those people out there. The thing is, King James is translated from the Textus Receptus.
Love you too, Sean.
And the Textus Receptus is simply the received text. There are other translations out there that come from the Aleppo Codex. There are other translations out there that come from different manuscripts that we have. There are translations and even paraphrases that we have out there that come from other sources. So you need to be careful and don't stick to one particular translation. That's when we get in trouble, because if we put all our eggs in one basket, you're going to be upset when somebody comes along and says, but look what it says here. So as we look at these things, we've got to be willing to say, we need to look at the broad spectrum picture. We need to look at what's all the way going across here. We need to know as much information and glean as much information as possible. I hate to break the news to you folks, and I've said this before, the Bible wasn't written directly to us today. The Bible was written to people who lived a long time ago. That's who it was directly written to. Moses didn't write the instructions he wrote down directly to us. We can learn from them, we can glean from them, and we certainly need to follow them, but he didn't write them to us. He wrote them to the people who had come out of Egypt at the time, that mixed multitude that he was trying to give direction and instruction to. Isaiah didn't write the things he wrote to us. He was writing to the people at the time. Well, actually, he wasn't even writing it. He would go and he would stand and deliver the message that he was given to deliver, and the scribes were writing down what he was saying. He didn't have to write it down. It was already written down for him. Somebody was taking down notes. Paul probably wrote down what he had to say, but he wasn't writing it directly to us. Paul's letters were to the Corinthians and the Romans and to Timothy and, to somebody else. We are literally reading somebody else's mail. Okay? That's what we're doing. We're literally reading somebody else's mail. So what we have to do is we have to look at the way the language was used at the time. We have to look at the way the culture was at the time. We have to look at how the translation changes that thing. And then we have to make a decision. And that decision is, really, it boils down to, how do I take all of this information and apply it to the way that my Creator designed me to live in the 21st century? Now that seems like a lot of work, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. It seems like a lot of work. It's really not that difficult. It's really not that difficult. But we have all of these confusing things out there, like, do angels fly? And it gets in the way. Which is why I really like that Revelation 8:13 verse, because what we see is coming out of the Textus Receptus. Somebody looked at it and said, eagles? How does an eagle cry out, woe, woe, woe? Mm-hmm. How does an eagle deliver the message of the three woes? And they said it makes much more sense if an angel would do it. So it gets changed. And then it becomes accepted. I don't know any traditions like that, do you? Somebody come up with the idea a long time ago, well, let's worship God this way. And so that becomes the way a number of people do that. And it becomes a denomination. They adopt a certain doctrine. But another group looks over there and goes, you guys got it all wrong. You need to be doing it this way. And they have their denomination and their doctrine. So just like you take that one verse and that one word that somebody decided to translate a different way, now all of a sudden you've got a lot of other things. Mm-hmm. Here's the kicker. Don't get hung up on the dumb stuff. And I'm going to call it the dumb stuff. And I'll tell you why in a minute. The dumb stuff is a distraction. And it keeps you away from being as close to your Creator as you really want to be. Jay, I agree. It's the non-inspired version. He's listening on Spreaker, folks, and I can tell you, you're right, Jay. You're absolutely. It's the non-inspired version. I won't use it. Well, that's not true. Even the NIV gets it right every now and again, and they're few and far between. I found two. I'm sure there are more, but I have found two. One you actually have to add a word to, though. I'll go over that with you one day.
Hi, Pam.
Hey, Pam. Well, she just kind of snuck in there, didn't she?
Yes, she did.
We see so many things that are distractions that take us away, take our focus away from where we need to be. And that focus should be on, okay, how do I take this information and apply it in my life today? Mm-hmm. Let me back up for a second. When Moses wrote down the Bible, he was very specific about certain things. One of the things that Moses was very specific about was identifying divine beings. He identified cherubim, and he even identifies seraphim. Mm-hmm. Well, actually, I should say serifs. because there was one specific. And we today lump all of those things together as angels. And we wonder why we're confused.
Mm-hmm.
And the entertainment industry today helps in that confusion. And it all reigns, and I don't think all of it necessarily comes from evil sources. I think some of it comes from just misguided sources. People who just simply don't know, but they're trying to tell a story.
Right.
If you go back to Messianic Delaware's teaching that I did, and it was called, and you forgot again that quick too. Everybody knows
Everybody
that.
knows that.
Everybody knows that. There are
You didn't tell me there was a pop quiz.
there are pictures that I've been able to find that identify what these creatures look like in the culture at the time that they were being written about. Some of them, well, one of them, the seraph carved in stone, looks like a snake with wings.
Mm-hmm. With 4 wings.
6 wings.
Okay.
You're missing 2. I know where you didn't see the other 2 though.
Okay.
If you go look at that, there's a picture on that teaching, and you see a carved in stone etching, and then I've also included the artist's rendition of what the clarified thing would look like. It's all on there, and it looks like a serpent with wings, 6 wings. And when you read about it in Isaiah, and you go back and you look at what it says in Numbers, I believe it is, where the fiery serpent was going through, and they needed to build this representation and put it up on a pole, so when the fiery serpent went through, they weren't killed. They could look up and see what was going on. It wasn't necessarily this fiery serpent. What you actually get this picture of... Thanks, Sean. What you actually get this picture of is this divine being. And when you see this divine being on this artist concept, it all comes clear because you see what the people who were describing it were trying to understand. The cherub that we see. You know, we have a really good rendition and picture of that. Hey, Jay, I see you're watching too.
Hi, Jay.
We have a really good rendition of that when it's being described as the cherub that stand on either side of the mercy seat. You know, with their wings across the back of the mercy seat, it forms a bench. But Ezekiel describes the same exact being when many people want to think it's a flying saucer. And what he's describing are these cherub who are under the throne, holding up the throne of the Almighty, so they don't have a choice but to move in unison because they're not formed together, but they're kind of in unison under this throne. The best analogy I can come up with is you see members of the military when they're moving caskets with fallen soldiers. They move in unison. Wherever they're looking, that's where all of them are looking. Wherever they move, that's how all of them move. There is carved etchings from that period and that culture that have these descriptions. And when you look at what Ezekiel was describing, that's what you see. And it's really kind of amazing that it was all throughout not only the Hebrew culture, but it was throughout all of that culture. Everybody knew what these things were. Mm-hmm. And today we look at it and read it and say, well, it must be something else. It's crazy to think that something like this could happen. Well, no, it's not crazy that you could think something like that would happen.
Hi, Carol.
Hi, Carol. Because what we see is, we can see it today. It's not something absolutely outrageous. So now that we have identified problems with with translation, we've identified problems with words, we've identified problems with the different way the text is presented, we can identify certain divine beings by their description. So what does an angel look like? Maybe I should ask this question. What is the job of an angel? Because really, An angel is simply a messenger. It's somebody who delivers a message. Gabriel is a divine messenger. He delivers message straight, if you read Luke chapter 1, he says, I deliver this message straight from the throne room of heaven. I stand in the presence of God. Mm-hmm. And he looks at Zechariah and says, and you dare question me? Mm-hmm. Don't you dare question me. I stand in the presence of God. Don't question me. So now what we're seeing is, here is somebody who is delivering a message straight from the throne room. We are not given a really detailed description of what he looks like, but we're given details of what other angels look like. Joshua. Mm-hmm. Joshua going into the land looks and he sees the form of a man, right?
Right.
He sees somebody standing there. And he goes and talks to him. He says, well, are you for us or against us? The guy says, well, neither. I am the commander of God's army. Don't question me. Mm-hmm. He's not an archangel. He is simply a messenger, and he's in the form of a man. Other places we see referred to, especially in the Old Testament, as angel simply being in the form of a man. Simply being in the form of a human being. Nothing really special about him. So the question that I got a few months ago now, I guess is when it was, do angels fly? I said, no, angels don't fly. What are you, nuts? No, they can't. But it says so right here. No, and I just went through all that. Angels don't need to fly. Angels deliver messages. If you really want to know what an angel looks like, it's right there in Joshua. It's the form of a man. They look like people. They come to you and they say, shouldn't you be doing this? They come to you and they say, are you sure you want to be going in that direction? They come to you and they say, do you really think this is a good idea?
Or better yet, they come to you and they say,
don't do that.
No, they come to you and say, you should be doing this.
Yeah, they do that too.
And then somebody else comes and says, you should be doing that.
Yeah, I know. And we don't always listen to them. We should, but we don't always. The interesting thing about angels is, and I can't remember the passage, I should have looked it up. It says sometimes you entertain angels and you don't even know it. Mm-hmm. Are you entertaining a divine being? Maybe. It's possible. You could be. But sometimes you're simply in the presence of somebody that God has gotten into a whole lot of trouble to put in front of you and deliver a message. Mm-hmm. Sean, you're not that scary. You don't look like Shrek at all. But trust me, I know you have delivered these messages. I know that you have been on divine appointments. I've been on one with you. So, when we do these things, when we witness these things, you've got to be aware that this is a possibility. The things you see and the things that happen to you may not always be as bad as you think they are. How you meet people sometimes might be more important than what they have to say. The situation that surrounds that may be equally as important as the conversation that takes place in it. And sometimes the things that aren't said may speak volumes. Mm-hmm. We were talking yesterday about body language. Mm-hmm. We were having a conversation with somebody about body language, and you can tell if someone's angry or upset, and you don't even have to really look at them. Mm-hmm. You can feel it. You can see it. You can tell if someone is attentive to what you're saying just by, really? Did you really? I didn't just hear you say that. But you can tell. You don't even have to hear what they say. You can tell by how attentive they are. You know what somebody's there for. And as you alluded to, yeah, I have been visited numerous times by people saying, you really ought to do this. And about now, Sean's saying, yeah, I've been telling you, you need to move to North Carolina. So, so as we think about these things, and Sean, you're not alone. We've heard that from other people too. So it is a possibility. Don't know yet. We have not had confirmation yet. We're still in the holding pattern. But we have had all of these things happen. And unfortunately, I'm not always aware enough at the time of what's going on. I have to look back at it sometimes and go, ooh, I should have been paying attention to that. Mm-hmm. You, on the other hand...
I'm like...
Yeah, I know. You beat me over the head with a frying pan saying, listen, listen, listen.
While people are talking, I'm like, hey.
But, that's what you're here for, is to keep me on track, right? To keep me on the straight and narrow sometimes. So as we get better, though, and that's the goal, is to continually get better at recognizing these things. We continually get better at recognizing those divine appointments. We continually get better at identifying the people who are put in our way for a certain reason. Sometimes it is entirely possible that something happens and you are put in front of somebody else for a reason. Mm-hmm. Sometimes something happens and you're put in front of somebody else, not necessarily to, and I don't want to say this in a negative way, you're not there to preach at them, but you're there to display how people are supposed to act in certain situations. Mm-hmm.
Maybe lead by actions.
Maybe lead by actions, yes. The young lady who ran into us yesterday, she was upset, she was nervous, she was, and by the way, guys, very little damage, nobody was hurt. But the thing is, she thought it was absolutely the end of the world. Mm-hmm. And I told her, I said, look, if I was mad at you, you would know it.
And I confirmed that.
I'm not, is it aggravating? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Is it upsetting? Yeah. Yes. Is it an inconvenience? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. But she needed somebody to demonstrate that life isn't always drama.
Right. And we were just calm, cool, and collected, and I think that freaked her out more than anything.
I think so. It probably did.
Didn't
it was just very matter of fact, and go through the motions and the details, and get everything straightened out.
Even tried to talk her down a little from her nervousness.
But when you're in those situations, you don't always recognize that right off the get-go, right from the start, I should say, maybe. But when those situations arise, you have to be always ready to follow the instructions you're given to do the things you need to do.
And you need that angel sitting beside you going, breathe.
Sometimes. What was the words you spoke to me when I got out of the car?
Be nice. No, actually, I think I did say, just breathe. I think is what I said.
Because when you get out when you're in that situation, you never know what you're going to run into. Mm-hmm. But once you identify the situation, you deal with that situation appropriately. Which brings us back to Moses' writings, right? Mm-hmm. Moses might not have been writing directly to us, but we can glean from them. And our job is to take what he wrote and say, okay, now how do I apply that now? What situation am I in now? What do I need to do? How do I use, and I'm going to pull something way off left field here. How do I apply Moses' instruction on taking, let's say, I think it's in Numbers, where it says, if you have to travel very far to go up to the feast, and it's too far to carry the things with you that you would take, sell those things and buy them there. How do I apply that to today? How do I apply that? because logistically we can't go to Jerusalem 3 times a year, right? If everybody that was supposed to go to Jerusalem 3 times a year went there, there wouldn't be enough room in Jerusalem.
Right.
So logistically, it's impossible. You can't do it. So how do I apply that?
But if you were to move, you could sell everything and buy it over there.
But yeah, you could. So it's, you can, there's certain things that might not fit your situation that you're in right now.
Right.
Was the point I was getting at. That's why I pulled that so far out of left field.
Okay.
Because that doesn't apply to what we were talking about. But what does apply to what we were talking about is Leviticus 19:18, I think is where it says, love your neighbor as yourself. How do I want somebody to approach me? If I mess up, how do I want somebody to approach me? If I'm wrong, how do I want somebody to come to me? And that's what you do. That's how you apply that to that situation. So you never know if the angel's coming to you or if you are being put in front of somebody else. And sometimes that's a scary proposition, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Because there may be a time when you're standing in front of somebody and you're the ultimate witness that is going to change their life. You're the one that's going to turn them around. You're the one that's responsible for them saying, I don't know what it is, but I want what you got. How do I have it? What do I need to do? Now let's see, 3 weeks, Jay's going to actually bring a message to Messianic Delaware. Repent and Why, I think, is what his title is. And I've seen, he's let me look at some of his notes and go over a lot of it, and he's on a very good track. It's going to be good. You know what? I might just go ahead and do an audio recording of that. I know that scares you, Jay, but that's okay.
You'll be fine.
You'll be fine. And we'll record that and put it out. So, because I think if it goes the way he's got it planned in his mind, or I think the way it's going in his mind, I think it's going to be very, very good. So maybe we'll do that. Don't let me forget that, Jay. So as we go through that, he's going there. As we put ourselves in front of these other people, as we do the things, it sounds an awful lot like Matthew 28, doesn't it? As you go create disciples, as you go through your day, as you go to the store, as you go to school, as you go to work, as you go here, as you do this, as you do that, as you live your life, be the example. Be the example. And when you're the example and people see what you got, they're going to turn themselves around. Hopefully they're going to start making good decisions. Hopefully it will take you... I'm leaning forward because I need to read that. Thanks, Tina. As we live that life of an example, then you are a priest to the rest of the world. You are representing the Almighty to the people you don't know. You are doing the things you're supposed to be doing. You are applying those principles to your life. And the things about do angels fly no longer get in the way, because now you can look through the resources that you have and say, well, it just doesn't make sense. Why would they need to? But it makes perfect sense, especially in Revelation, for an eagle or something that looks like an eagle to be carrying a message. Now, we have airplanes today that look much like an eagle would fly, or an eagle does when it's flying. So I have to wonder if what John saw wasn't one of those message planes delivering the message to the people. You might have screwed up, and here's what's going to happen, but here's how you can turn yourself around. Here's how you can change. Here's what you need to do. Here's how you apply God's instructions to your life today. So, all of that. It won't scare me, but you'll be fine, Jay. Trust me.
We're doing it. Hey,
we're
if
doing
we
it.
can do it.
Yeah.
You can do it.
Just do what I do. Just keep quoting scripture. You can't go wrong.
Right.
You quote it often enough. That's one of the biggest criticisms I ever received. And it's also one of the biggest pats on the back I ever got. A lady criticized me. She says, well, when you quote scripture, you just quote it like it's real.
It is.
It is. Okay? Sorry. But it is. And if that's the biggest, now she meant that as a criticism. But I kind of took that as a compliment.
Right.
Because, hey,
Not all
if
of
you
us
think
can retain that.
if you think I'm quoting scripture and it sounds real to you, then maybe you should take it that way too.
Mm-hmm.
So there we go. I've gone way over time again, but that's okay.
It's been fun.
It's been fun. Love interacting with you guys out there. I love seeing everybody. Don't forget, hit those
Yes.
like buttons, hit those share buttons. Send this out, because ultimately, if I'm quoting scripture like it's real, everybody needs to hear it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I said earlier, everybody has an agenda. I got one too, and that is to get everybody to live the way that the Almighty designed them to live. If you can do that, you know what? It won't matter what happens here, because later on down the road, I'll have a bigger bank account than I can count. So there we go. Not necessarily,
On
not necessarily on this end, but on the other end.
Not earthly.
And that's okay. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been fun. It has been a pleasure. We certainly thank you. We love you guys.
Yes, thanks for watching.
Don't forget, like and share. Send it around. Thanks everyone for watching. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. We will see you next time.